My generation started watching films in late 50s, you see. So that was the time when actually there was extremely interesting film repertoire in our country, as the country was open, although it was a state socialism, but different from the Soviet Union. So we in regular cinemas have been watching, for instance, not only the French New Wave films, Godard and the others, but also cinema verite documentary films. And in that time, of course, cinema for the whole population was actually maybe the only window to watch the world. And luckily, well, we had opportunity in these relatively poor circumstances to somehow come close to filmmaking through cine clubs. So in each bigger city, in Belgrade, Novi Sad, Zagreb, Ljubljana, there was a cine club. So when I was 23, 24, I started making actually my first documentary films. And my approach was, okay, we are living in society which is changing, which the propaganda is all the time speaking about big and progressive steps in industrialization of the country, and also making the new cities. And that was obvious that was happening, but I saw that some pockets of society, some actually strata of the people are not represented in this, let us say, socialistic, romantic proclamation how everybody will be equal and live like comfortable. In that moment came to one extremely, I would say, a tragic moment for the whole state socialism, and that is when the Soviet Union and other socialistic countries, only Yugoslavia did not take part in it, occupied Czechoslovakia. So for our generation, that was actually the moment when this state socialism was completely shaken. We had in our mind the big question mark, would it be possible to survive? So the concept of early works, inside the storyline, you have this reflection on the both things. One is the student demonstration, a rebellion, and another is the destiny of the system we are living in and all those promises we are listening. And the distribution started in 1969 in February, and it was, I would say, very controversial reaction, but at least the film stayed in cinemas in all big cities 3-4 weeks. And then the police came, took all the prints, and I thought that they will also take me and put in the jail, but no. They just have announced that the process in the court will start in 5 days, and there was a court process against the film, which was reported all over the newspapers, and I was defending the film. And interesting that the judge actually let the film free. So that was this controversial atmosphere we have been living in. On one side, liberal energies and forces and people, and on another side, dogmatic. Actually, the set of rhetoric of politicians and cultural politics has changed in terms of something what we felt as neo-dogmatism, different than this liberal anti-Stalinistic period. So our already made films, and some films which already have been seen in the cinema and awarded, they have been ideologically accused as films which are not presenting our reality as it is, but as we are filmmakers who are watching Yugoslav socialism through the dark sunglasses. So the politicians, they invented this expression, black film. It is not us. We always called us New Yugoslav film. So my reaction was, let's try to make some answer in the film. And as I was making one short film, which is called Women Are Coming, I said to the crew, look, let's save some material and make a sort of pamphlet. My idea was simple, just to gather the group of homeless people which we will find one evening or one night in Novi Sad, and to bring them in my home with the intention that I will try to solve their problem, as actually in this new propaganda wave, in all accusation of us was the sentence, but you don't see how actually the progress of socialism brought the happiness in every house and to everybody's heart.
Na betonu, podme tu tatar.
Dobro, ja ne idete, ako neće da učestvujete u ovom filmu, dobro idite svako.
Ma ne moramo, nije važno.
Dan, dva, platit će.
U redu je.
Platit će se, to je izgubljeno vreme.
Beginning of 72, somehow create the situation that many, not many, 3, 4, 5 of us filmmakers actually could not continue to work. Simple, no doors was open for us, and we needed in that time connections with the big studio because the laboratories have been in the big studios. That was a time when we did not have anything else but negative to work on. So few of us went abroad, and I decided to go to Germany. Of course, I knew the people like Alexander Kluge, Edgar Reitz, Werner Herzog, even Fassbinder was around. So there was filmmakers cooperative, what they have had. It is called Filmverlag der Autoren. And of course, I knew those people because they also have had the films in Oberhausen and Berlin, like I. And I said, when they asked me, what are your intentions? I said, I want to make films about our workers who came to be in this country. In that moment, there was almost 800,000 Yugoslavs who have been quite well received in the factories and in construction places. And that is what I did. I made 7 documentaries. In Germany on a non-fiction film. Interesting happens in 74 and 75 that actually 2 of my films somehow also have enjoyed a reaction of German censorship, which I didn't know that exists. It is called Freiwillige Selbstkontrolle, what means voluntary self-control.
Siemens und Schluss.
Edoardo, 5 anni in Germania, troppo storia qua e senza guadagnare niente, lavoro poco. Mia moglie è disoccupata, come dobbiamo fare? Non c'è niente da dire.
I returned in 76, maybe beginning 77 in Yugoslavia, but I actually didn't still have any possibility to enter any film company, as actually the whole industry was somehow changed. This type of provocative and politically engaged films have been pushed away. And then actually somehow I thought, why shouldn't I do the same what German colleagues are doing, and that is cooperation with television. Television needed a lot of program. They still worked on film. They also, for us filmmakers, they are like a paradise. Why? Because you have in the same time all production technique and needs which already exist on television, from the laboratory to the editing. But in the same time, you have also the distribution. Now, if I count the pieces which I made, maybe the most productive decade was 80s. It was an interesting moment. On one side, the president of Yugoslavia, who was a symbol of the country, Tito, who was ruling like almost 40 years, he died. So we felt that the system really can function without him, even with less pressure when he was present. So the atmosphere on television stations gave me a feeling that you can come with quite, I would say, serious projects, and you would be supported, and it would be aired in the program. So few of my maybe most provocative things have been actually done for television. We just felt that our socialistic post-Tito's leaders, that they are struggling to survive, and in struggling for survival, especially when they saw the destiny of Ceausescu, they went actually in this, I would say, dangerous path of spreading nationalistic hatred and even trying to fight for the leadership based on the number of the ethnic groups they are having in their republics. It was impossible to make anything with television, as all televisions have been completely turned to propaganda. Nations, one nation, ethnic group against each other.
Moramo sebi da privučemo jake ljude, nalazeći ih svuda gde god ih ima, da bismo od njih napravili svoje predstavnike. Tako se masama oduzimaju energični duhovi koji ih podižu na bunu.
Normalno, ponašamo se kao svaka vlast koja hoće da predupredi pobune i revolucije.
When I'm thinking about this disaster, which started in 90s, how for us filmmaker, one thing happens which was such a big liberation, and that is this new cinema techniques. First of all, these video techniques, when we start filming on beta and editing on beta, so we have been free of this huge investment for negative, what we have had as obligation before. And then, of course, these video platforms and electronic platforms from year to year started being improved. So we could now finally think about complete private production and low-budget production. And of course, as those televisions have been now centers of propaganda, I actually registered my own firm. My interests remain on following actually how the, I would say, normal people who have not been somehow inventing all these disturbances and hatred, and who have not been coming out of war as war profiteers, and who have not been changing the set of values and ideological profile from one party to another. How do they survive? How do they, in these difficult circumstances, somehow keep on going, not doing anything which somehow is destroying themselves from the actually shame and lies they are living in. So in last 10, 20 years, we developed the way how we gather the crew and participant on the principles that we are making together the piece where also me and my crew is expressing what we would like to to say publicly, but also let the people and participants somehow to show that they are also heroes and I would say co-authors of our films. Sometimes, like in the films about migration, we actually also went to see, is it this state propaganda, sometimes state hatred and fear, is it something what is really happening in the life? And like in film Logbook Srbistan, when we went to follow incident which have been reported in the news with local population and the migrants, we went on the terrain deep in the South Serbia, in the middle of Serbia, and we, instead of hatred, we saw something else, some sort of solidarity, friendship, some sort of even old sentimentalism because of the fact that Yugoslavia in all time was very active with African and Asian countries and non-aligned countries.
Hajde, uzmite kafu. Evo, uzmite šećera iz Bosne.
Kako ste vi došli dovle? Koliko je to bilo kilometara?
Yeah, it's thousands. From Macedonia to Sanicha.
So the films are still a tool. You can somehow search through the social strata. You can somehow discover some tremendous personalities and characters and bring them to the big screen.